Super disappointing loss Sunday against the Wolves. Let's talk about Jordan Poole, though, right? I'm not trying to place any more blame on this kid. I just want to say I don't want this discourse about Poole to turn into what happened with James Wiseman, right? I don't know about you, but it felt at some point early this season, after this 3-year saga, a line in the sand was drawn within the fan base, and it was either pro Wiseman or anti Wiseman. And I found myself, defending my takes, and where it would seem like, hey, I'm rooting against the kid. I'm slandering him. And it wasn't that. It was that people had picked sides, and it just got nasty. And I don't want that to happen with this Poole discourse, because let's be honest, he's a much more important part of the team. And so it has the potential to become even more toxic. I think for those of you that are, big Jordan Poole fans and find yourselves defending him of late, listen, I get it. I think we all see it, the potential for a really special player, but he's not there yet. He's not there yet, right? And I think that he is, in the next season or two, he's kind of at a crossroads where, is he going to just be a bucket getter? And eventually the NBA, wherever he is, will say, okay, well, you're a third guard, you're a six man, come in, get buckets, do what you do. Or is he going to become more of a complete player and a guy that a team will hand the keys to and say, all right, you're our lead guard? Certainly the Warriors know he has that potential when you look at the contract extension, but he's not there yet. He's a kid that doesn't lack confidence. And so I feel like criticizing, saying where he could get better can only help him. And I think the proof's in the pudding. You heard him say he's heard the slander, the chatter, all this stuff. Well, he's shown up and played a lot better the last 3 or 4 games. Now, down the stretch of that Minnesota game, there was plenty of blame to go around, right? There was plenty of blame to go around. I actually agreed with the decision to have the ball in his hands when contextually you look at the situation. Both Steph and Klay were playing miserably. Steph, if it's a brain fog or what, I haven't seen Steph that indecisive with the ball in a long time. And so it made sense to put the ball in Poole's hands late in that game. He was cooking. Now, what I've seen in these last 3 or 4 games where he's had a lot of success is the high pick and roll, more high pick and roll. And you say, well, Doug, Alk, this is an obvious thing, and the Warriors need to do more of it. And I think there is a detail to it. It's the 1-4 flat, right? Where, it can be a 1-5, it can be whatever, but you get flat and you give Poole a lot of space to operate, right? Because we know with his playing style, he's extra with his moves. And when he hits, it's spectacular. There's nothing better in the NBA. But when there's not a lot of space and it gets congested, that's when the turnovers and problems start to happen. And so I think what they have to do with Jordan moving forward is carve out a period of time where he knows it's his time to cook. Don't worry about Steph. Don't worry about Klay. Anybody else that's on the floor, letting Draymond hold the ball, any of that shit. Clear out, high pick and roll in space and let him cook. And that's the other element of it is the motion offense and the off-ball action that the Warriors are notorious for, right? Gets back doors and all this stuff. Again, it mucks up the spacing in just a traditional high pick and roll. Flatten it out. Don't worry about the off-ball movement. Put 2 short shooters in the corners and give him space to do what he does. And I think that that's where he's at his best offensively. As far as the shot selection goes, I think he's also figured out in the last month or so, he can get to the rim at will and he can get to the line a lot, right? That's going to be another one, a huge asset for him moving forward as a scorer. I would say avoid the step back threes. And I would say that to pretty much everybody. Now, especially like a deep one, like that deep 30-foot step back 3, that's a difficult shot. That's a bad shot for Steph. If there's I know that's an oxymoron, but that's a bad shot for anybody. And so when he's put in the clutch situations, it's not going to be the last time that happens. I would say get downhill and try to get to the line because you've proven to be almost elite at that at this young age. Now, defensively is where my issues really come with Jordan Poole. I'm not really offensively. He's going to figure it out, man. He's talented enough. And when he gets the opportunity, he's proven that he can produce. It's the defensive end. And no one's looking at him to be GP2 or a stopper, but he has to show effort and intent. And in particular, when he closes out or when he switches up onto the ball, a lot of the time he acts as if his job is done once he arrives. You can see it every game. He'll close out and he just plants his feet. He's like, I'm here. That's it. I'm done. And then you see the blow-bys. And so you have to make continuous efforts on the defensive end, right? It can't just be one effort. Hey, I'm here. It's over. No, it's going to be 2 or 3 to be a part of a good defense. And I know there's plenty of blame to go around on both sides. And, I want to get back to something I said in the last video about Poole, reflecting on it with my patrons, a lot of smart takes. They're saying, Alk, it's not fair that they don't have to hold Clay accountable in the vets in this, and then Poole has to be held on a tighter leash. It's not fair, and life is not fair, right? But I think that ultimately that is the case, and the only way for them to truly hold Poole accountable on the defensive end is if the core 3 hold themselves accountable. And, you think through this season, how many times have you seen one of the vets just completely blow something and then tap, my bad. And it wasn't even a physical thing. It was just a mental, I'm out to lunch, I blew the assignment thing, right? And so when you see that over and over again, I think a lot of you are right. It's not fair to expect Poole to do the same thing. You would hope that he would hold himself accountable and he would have more want, right? But let's be honest. We've seen enough of Jordan Poole to know he doesn't really want to defend. I think that's an innate trait. And it's funny, though, because I don't know if the core 3 at this stage in their career are capable of holding themselves accountable like that on a nightly basis. They've accomplished so much. They've played for so long. They're a little, they're aging. They don't have the same energy and motor that they once did. I think if this scenario with Poole happened in, let's say, 2017, 2016, when Katie arrived, you were getting that version of this core 3, I think that they would be a lot more capable of holding themselves accountable and Poole accountable on the defensive end. But right now, it's a tough scenario. So I just want to see him defend with intent, make multiple efforts on a possession. Offensively, I think they figured it out. What is it? End of third, start of fourth, let him cook, clear out, give him space, abandon the motion bullshit. Just let him get in that pick and roll and do what he does and encourage him to get downhill. The threes are nice. And when you, I don't have a problem with the deep ones, but it's the deep step back ones. It's not a good shot for anybody. My main point is, Dub Nation, we don't have to draw a line in the sand here with Poole and become divided like we were with Wiseman. I think we can all acknowledge how special he can be, and I think we should acknowledge where he can get better. I was listening to Ryan Russillo's podcast, and he was talking about, he made a list of star players who kind of get a pass when it comes to expectations of winning a championship. Dame, Joel, and certain guys, right? To me, I think your expectations in the league are set by your talent level, right? And Poole is so talented. I've got high expectations for him. I know that he can be a much more complete player. And, people say, well, what about Lamb? What about Ty? They're maximizing their talent. They don't have the talent to have those type of expectations. That's the truth of it. And so I think that we can criticize, we can critique, and we should praise when he does well without this thing getting toxic. Now, who do we have tonight? The Pelicans. Every game is a must-win game at this point. And frankly, I'm having a hard time kind of deciphering the threat level of all these teams jumbled up here, and you've heard people say, oh, well, they want to avoid the Suns or you want to avoid the Kings. Maybe. I don't think any of these teams that could end up in the play-in have the luxury of trying to duck or avoid anybody. Everybody's got to win out the rest of the way here. And so again, tonight against the Pelicans, I expect a really spirited effort at Chase Center when you consider how they blew it against the Wolves, as well as the desperation, right? Their back is against the wall now, and you could argue maybe that's when they played their best basketball. I'll be back with the breakdown of the Pels game tomorrow on my Patreon. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.